Hello, everyone. Welcome to Follow Everton. We have breaking news for you today that Frank Lampard has been sacked as Everton manager. Here to react to this news with myself, I have my good friend, Mr. Andrew Mabs, otherwise known as Parkand Goodison. Mabsy,
Yeah.
your initial thoughts. How are you feeling right now after hearing that news?
I'm not happy. Oh, obviously I'm happy, but I'm relieved. But it's a bit sweet, isn't it, in a way? Because at the end of the day, we're in the doldrums. You know, we've gone backwards since last season. You know, we're in the worst position. So it's not. I can't be overjoyed by it. If that makes sense, but it's a relief and it's just horrendous that we're back at a year to the date, probably, and we're no further forward, and you know we're looking for yet another manager.
Feels like we've been going through the motions for 12 months, Mabsy, and it's fair to say that Lampard, a good man, has lost his job in a similar vein to probably a Roberto Martinez or a Marco Silva, but obviously he achieved even less than the two of them. You know, I didn't really see any style of play or any element of coaching that even made me think that he would be able to turn this around if he had a budget. You know, he seemed completely out of his depth. And I think the only thing that really bided him time was that relationship with the fans, was the fact he portrayed to have that connection. I mean, let's be honest, Mabs, he doesn't. You know, he's
not a blue though, is he? Let's not beat around the bush. And you know what, right? Anyone can say he gets the club. Anyone can say, you know, blah blah blah. But they're paid by the club to say that. You know what I mean? And we laugh it up, yeah, we do. But realistically, you've got to realise that he isn't a blue. He's not a die-hard, is he? You know what I mean? That'll fight. And I heard, I think I saw a tweet from Charles Stevenson this morning saying that he'd lost the players by changing the formation around every game. You know, I think I've read somewhere else that Decore was told to go and train in his own because he's fallen out with Lampard. So it hasn't been a pleasant atmosphere though.
No, I think he's tried to be more of a, you know, he's tried to have a positive influence on them, refuse to castrate them and criticize them in public, when actually after some results and some games, he probably, you know, a more frank manager would have said certain things about players. But obviously he's kept those things internal. By the way, we're going to have Dan come in a minute. He's kept things internal, and you know, it can come across slightly delusional when you're always coming out afraid to criticize the players, but it looks like the wheels have fallen off for him in the dressing room with some of them. And certainly, yeah, I would have thought that changing formation from a 3-5-2 to a 4-5-1 to a 4-3-3 to a 3-4-3 to try and find a way to do something. You know, first of all, that's not how you manage a football club. That's just shows that you don't know what you're doing. It's chaotic. I'm not surprised that the players are frustrated and can't take on board what he's saying. I just want to very quickly also say hello to everyone in the comments who are just joining us now. I know not many on at the moment, but I imagine there'll be a good 1,000 people or so who'll watch this video back in due course. So if you're new here, be sure to like and subscribe. Just a quick shout out to Mark, Matty, Mr. Toffees, Kevin, David, and Peter and Mark, who are here on the stream with us. As I say, Dan will come in a moment. I also need to offer my sincerest condolences to Ian, who you'll know as Yandalf on our channel. He lost his father on Saturday evening, and he was a friend of ours on the show. He was a relative of members on here, of course, and you know, he was on the show occasionally as well, at least a dozen times. So we're deeply saddened to have lost our friend Mabsy, and we send our absolute best.
Absolutely, I'm devastated to hear the news, and devastated for Jan. You know, I'm sure the rest of the channel will. You know, I think obviously, you know, he's going to have to take time to come to terms and stuff. So if he's not on, that's the reason why. But he'll come back when he's ready.
Yeah, I will mention this again later on as well when more people are on. Why Ian's not been on for a while, but yeah, okay. I just wanted to touch on that early for those who are watching this back as well. That we would like to pay tribute to Daniel Senior. Right, I'm going to bring in our very good friend Dan. Dan,
You all right?
How is it?
As Mabsy said, it's a relief that Lampard's gone, but also there is a little bit from my perspective. I feel a little bit sad, that it hasn't worked out for him. But at the same time, he had no managerial pedigree, and he had no budget to work with. Yeah, he signed some garbage players in Mopé and McNeil. But that's not really what would cause you to sack over, the course of 40 plus games. I'm intrigued to know whether you share or whether you've got a different view, because I know you were quite keen to see him leave.
No, he tried his best, but he wasn't good enough. He was. This is a big job, and Lampard hasn't got the experience for the job, so he should have gone Bournemouth. But obviously, with the owners that we've got and the board, it got delayed. But he was in too deep and he was struggling, and I'm just happy that he's got sacked now, because I think even he knows the job was too much. So yeah, I'm happy that he's got sacked. And the thing is, I feel sorry for him because he tried his best, but you've got to think he has got paid millions for it as well. So I think he'll still. It's not too depressing because he's still come away with it with a big payout.
I'm not. You know what though? I'm not asked about him.
No, he's got loads of money now out of it.
Whatever, he's getting whatever from Everton.
Didn't need the money.
I honestly don't care. I care about Everton. That's all I care about.
Yeah, he needed to go.
He didn't. Let's just make this clear. Frank Lampard's a multi-millionaire. He's a multi-millionaire who doesn't need the money. Just in the interest of this flowing nicely, just because there's four of us, I'm going to try and direct. Obviously, you can come in off the back of the questions. I'd just like to welcome Jeff to the stream as well. His daily robbing Nat West Bank, and we've got him back. He's the feature in the Beano comics for the coming months. Jeff, there's a big smile on your face. I'm sure it's for the reason you were fed up with Lampard and really, No,
I'm just laughing because you're taking the mick out of me.
There was
no.
Dismissed after the ball.
I mean, right. So I, like being an honest person, I didn't want Frank Lampard in the first place. I never thought he was good enough. And I literally had Twitter arguments for days and days. And I ran about it. And, like, I just didn't want him because, my comment at the time when we were first looking at him was, what's he done? He can't coach a team to defend. Like, his defensive record was appalling. And the one thing that convinced me, like a lot of people, because a lot of people were getting on at me, like I literally had hundreds and hundreds of comments from people like, oh, this and this and this and this, and they didn't. Basically, the argument was, well, he's not that other lunatic who went on Sky Sports News, and he'll play the kids. That was it. That was literally the arguments for him was he'll play the kids, and he never played the kids. He never played the kids. He never gave them a chance. He played the same old dog shit team week after week after week. And being a nice fella doesn't make you a good manager. Being a nice fella isn't enough. I support every manager who gets the job. I support every manager who gets the job. But it doesn't mean they should have had it in the first place.
No, I get you, Jeff. But out of the two, between Pierre and Lampard, what it was at the time, who would you...
I wanted Pierre.
Would you? Fair enough.
I wanted Pierre. Yeah, I did.
The reason why I didn't want him
was for two reasons. One, because he was a disciplinarian, right? and he would basically kick players up the arse. He was basically a bit of a madder. And I felt after the patheticness of the Spaniard and the stage we're in, we needed someone to come in and kick some asses. So that was one of the reasons why I wanted him over Lampard. Another reason was because of a couple of players that he was going to bring with him. Kim, the Korean centre-back, who was an absolute monster.
Yeah.
And there was a creative player, again, who was playing for Fenerbahce. I can't remember his name at the time. I think he's like Portuguese or Spanish. I can't remember the lad's name. But he's like his dad's a famous player as well. But he was going to bring those two players with him. And that was like a rock for the centre-back position and a creative player who'd come in and like actually fire us and start getting us creating opportunities. And that was the only reason why I wanted him over Lampard. But then, you know, once the decision's made, I backed, you know, whoever gets the manager's job on, even when it was the Spaniard, I don't want anyone to fail. So once they've got the job, you have to back them, don't you?
Yeah, you're totally right.
I'm going to bring in some comments as well because this is an interactive show, and then I'm going to get some more thoughts from Dan as well on that. A lot of people are, you know, inevitably quite frustrated about this. Just going to bring up some of the comments. We've got Marky saying, I don't blame him. Playing our style has to change. I really want Kenwright and Baxendale out. Kevin said the relationship he had fans had gone down the loo. I think results obviously outweigh anything. Peter, we're talking about replacements here. We'll talk about replacements again, Peter, if that's okay. He mentions that he doesn't want Dice. People saying sack the board. I mean, Lampard has had, I think, at least 40 games in charge this season alone. Though, you know, we've played 22 games. We've won just 3 out of both cups in the first round of each that we played, and we have, you know, we're 19th in the league. We really probably, you know, could arguably be in 20th had results not gone our way on the weekend. And no manager, it doesn't matter who you are, can survive that after, you know, that level of season. If you're managing a club of our size, I think it was inevitable that he was going to lose his job. He should
have been gone after the 2 Bournemouth games.
Yeah.
Well,
we won the World Cup then to regroup.
What I was told was that he was given a World Cup break to improve the players, implement some new ideas.
Wow.
And then, you know, they were going to reassess it. But by doing that, they effectively cost us 15 points because we lost to Wolves, Brighton, Southampton, West Ham. And I'm sure we lost some other games. There's that many. Probably easy to say. We beat Palace, West Ham.
Went out the cup to United as well.
You know what though? It's
the
just
2
like
teams we beat again.
Sorry, can I just come in? I saw something really shocking. Last game that we won, Liz Truss was the Prime Minister.
Yeah.
So, you know,
the thing that concerns me is that this isn't just like at the start of the season where we shut up shop throughout the, you know, initial period waiting for a striker. Then we signed a striker. Then we were just kind of, everyone was saying, well, we'll come good. This has been very much over this past sort of couple of months, progressively worse and worse and worse with no sign of anything changing. It's like all that defensive solidity, which really, it was a load of shit because we were conceding a lot of chances every game. We were just relying on our goalkeeper. But, you know, that defensive solidity, or what we should say is just actually not conceding goals, gone out the window, and now we're being highlighted for what we really are. Ironically, he was told he could have those games. But before the start of the season, he was told that all he needed to do was keep Everton up with a better style of play. That was what he was instructed to do. We tried to change and move away from that 11 at the back style, and it's fallen flat on his face because we don't have the players. I mean, I saw something on Twitter before, only 2 years ago, and it was James Rodriguez, Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin, Gylfi Sigurdsson, and Luca Dean. And I'm thinking, you've got 3 specialists, dead ball specialists, who can all whip a ball in the box and play or set pieces. And you've got 2 goalkeepers there who can head it in, kick it in, you know, play off each other. There's nothing nice about this club right now. And Dan, coming in now in terms of this approach, is it any shock that the news is that we haven't got any managers lined up to replace Frank?
No, it's not a shock, no, because they kept putting out that they are sticking with Lampard, and Moshiri not long ago said Lampard's the man. He's the man to get us out of this mess. So I think they kind of they've only sacked him because they had to, for me, Ryan.
That's the kiss of death, Dan, isn't it, though? We've seen it every time he comes out. He always backs the manager, and then 4 weeks later, he's sacked. And I do think Moshiri has kind of taken his gloves off this season in terms of he's not as hands-on. He's delegated. And I think that's what he meant when he said it wasn't his decision. Ultimately, it effectively is his decision. If he wants to overrule, he can.
Everton Football Club should have a badge that says Nil Satis Nisi Optimum. What it should actually say is, fail to prepare to fail.
Yeah.
Because we never have a plan. We never have a plan. There should be a list.
I do think
updated of people ready to go.
I was just going to say though, I just wanted to add to you when you asked me that question. I didn't get in what I wanted to say on the end of it. I wanted to say it didn't look like it doesn't look like they have got a plan, but Bielsa has come from nowhere. So was he in the plan? Because he's literally come from nowhere. And was it Farewell's plan to get him? You could say they have got a plan. The fact that's gone favourite straight away.
He hasn't got Bielsa, though, has he? Let's not be big around the bush here. He's not got Bielsa. You know, I hate to harp on about the shite, but you know what? They've got a successful plan guaranteed, ready to go.
Well, Mabsy, look at Brighton.
Yeah.
Look at Brighton. They lost the director of football. They lost the manager, and they had 2 things lined up. And there's been no. Can you silence your phone? No, there's been nothing. Nothing, in the planning for us, and that's not what smartly run clubs do. But we know we're not smartly run because we wouldn't have been in this financial mess in the first place. We wouldn't have had 8-9 managers in 5 years. I've just got the list of Everton's managerial candidates in front of me here. I believe the front runner is this guy here, and we also.
I'd go with Donald Arwood, to be fair, than Squirtle.
Dan, I thought you're a big Pokemon fan. You wouldn't put Squirtle in charge. He's blue. I mean, they're both blue. They're both ready for the job.
I'd go for Blastoise with the way our players are performing at the minute. Squirtle's he's not got enough experience for the job. He needs to evolve and turn into Blastoise.
You can tell someone's been to America, can't you?
Oh,
they
look good.
You give it the job. Squirtle or Donald? Donald. Jeff, Donald or Squirtle?
Because we're a Mickey Mouse organisation.
Can I go for a different one? What was that?
Because
He
we're
says,
a Mickey Mouse organisation.
Good point.
Yeah. I quite like Scrooge McDuck because he's got Wedge.
I believe this guy's actually got more chance of getting he's already contract.
Donald Duck reminds me of the owners because he's quackers.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, Danielson, what are you doing?
He's not got enough experience. He needs to evolve. That's
a good one. I'll put some good ones in there. Cheer all of us up. No, but one thing I will say on your list, though, Ryan, is that we've got the list that we all knew, and Bielsa's come from nowhere, so it must come from Everton.
Look, it's the same.
Let's be honest, though, innit?
I didn't think him.
It's the same list that we recycle every single time we sack a manager. You've got your Rooney's, your Unsworth, you've got your
the most high profile unemployed managers plus people with an Everton history. That's the list. Like there's no one I was talking to some fella online and there's a guy he's the manager at Leipzig.
Yeah.
Like young up and coming, he's like 37, 38, really progressive, full of new ideas, all that kind of stuff. That's the kind of guy we should be looking for. If we're trying to build something long term, we should be looking for someone who's like
up and coming
with a good track record, or we're going to go for another dinosaur short term plan. Like there's literally 2 choices. You either go for somebody because stay up at all costs, kind of shut the back door, pragmatic Sean Dyche type guy, and that's fair enough. or you go for somebody who's going to create a project, whether we stay up or go down. Because like I want us to stay up, but we might not. So
are we waiting?
We don't want to appoint somebody. We don't want to appoint somebody who's going to, like, if we go down, be completely unsuitable to bring us back up again. We want someone who can do a job if the worst comes to the worst. So, like,
Jeff, are we going through the motions until we've got a bit of money? Is that what you think it is? We're kind of just filling time until the FFP can be ruled out. We're in the new game and we can throw a few hundred million.
What, in terms of the club?
Are we just going through the motions in this period now for a year or two, hoping we survive, getting that new stadium, and then have
that's what it feels like to me. It's felt like that because when you look at the buys, like there's been a clear, like, we either get people in on loan or we get them in on Klarna, so we're actually only paying a small amount each month. So we're not actually putting any money on the table for any kind of big players. And so we've missed out on a lot of players that we might have wanted because they wanted upfront wedge, like the guy who was at corner who was at Burnley, Gibbs White, who's gone to Nottingham Forest. Players like that, like with an upside that could have improved us, but we didn't want to pay the money up front. So, we're clearly sort of holding station trying to save money. And I still think the owner wants out.
Okay, got a question, Babs. We've had talk of this new managerial appointment. Then you've had an English manager here with a squad with 80% of them are English. We've got 5 England centre backs alone. If he can't get a tune out of these players of the same nationality, should have that communication level. What makes you think someone like Marco Bielsa could come in here and get better out of them? Is he a lot better of a coach? Because he nearly got season.
I've never said I wanted Bielsa.
No,
I don't know who it is, or sorry, I've never said I wanted Bielsa. I'm just sick of the options that we have. Realistically, they're the options that we have got. We've got Dyche or probably Bielsa, or probably
the only managers that were worse than Lampard last season. Dyche and Bielsa. I mean, you couldn't make it up.
No.
One got
the only again, the problem we have is we've got 7 days until the transfer window opens. We've got
closes.
No plan. Was it to close on the Tuesday?
We should have just put the same fucking video out from last year.
Yeah, absolutely. 7 days left.
Groundhog Day it does feel like Everton is a Groundhog Day.
It is. It really is.
I've got a good comment.
I'm actually looking forward to seeing who we get as manager. I haven't got a clue.
This one here, my first.
Who's your choice?
Thomas Frank.
I'd love Thomas Frank. He would be an amazing choice. I agree, Matty. He would be like in the top 2 or 3 of my list. He's a cracking manager, but like he's at a club that he's backed, supported. He's got a really good functioning team, and they're like in the top half of the Premier League. So,
but it's a small club.
It is a small club, so it could be about ambition. But then the other problem is he signed a new 5 or 6 year contract literally a few months ago. So it would cost about 25 million to get him out of that. So
not chance.
Thomas Frank ain't happening.
There must be managers. Why is the list so obvious? It's just the same names, Rooney.
Because we're not an attractive opposition, Ryan. We're not. I hate to say it. Brighton are the more attractive proposition.
But Matt, we don't look further than the end of on. I can almost guarantee you now, and you can hold me back to this. We'll end up with Nuno Santo.
I don't agree with it, but I think it's because they like to get someone that's Premier League experienced, with us being in a relegation battle that knows the Premier League. I don't agree with it. I still think other managers could be good.
I mean, we shouldn't just assume. Like, the one thing I will say is we shouldn't just assume that because Sky put up a list that any of those people are on the list. That's just lazy journalism, which we see all the time. Like, the one thing I've heard was is Thelwall is the director of football, and it's his responsibility to draw up a list of candidates. So, like, whatever Sky puts up on the telly, like, that doesn't necessarily relate to anything, because if Thelwall is the guy drawing up the list, like, I have no idea who Thelwall won. So, Valente, as Dan's just said, he's a likely because he's worked with him before. The guy I mentioned before who was at Leipzig.
Nuno Valente. Next, you'll have that.
Look at this comment.
Did I get that wrong? The guy who was at. Sorry?
You like Stony coming back. Mabsy, do you remember when I convinced you about a year after they left that Osman and Hibbert had signed new deals for us?
Yeah. Crazy time.
But, can't remember the name of the guy that I was talking.
He's coming in as manager. Neil Mo. I mean, the thing that makes me a little bit anxious about this is that while I am relieved and slightly sad at the same time, but also happy, I don't know whether a lot of emotions with Lampard. I don't trust this Thelwell fella to bring anyone in of note. I mean, he thought in the summer they could get away with bringing Neil Maupay in and Dwight McNeil as a front line improvements, stripping away all the anyone who can pass the ball from midfield. Andre Gomez. Why couldn't a decent coach work with someone like that? But just infuriating, isn't it? Because we're going to end up with Nuno Santo.
I think picking managers. I think picking managers is easier than players, though, isn't it? There's not that many in the hat.
No, there's a lot of players. There's millions of players.
Players is always risky. You don't know what they're going to play like. It's what they like at play. Managers, I think there's not many managers about. It's just going to, you know what they're about. You've watched them. I honestly think with a lot of managers, you get what you see. And a lot of the names that you reel off, we could all say everything about them. We generally could, because we know we've watched them manage loads of teams and know a lot about them. But it's going to be interesting to see who we do get. I'm excited. I can't wait to get someone new and someone come in because these players have been underperforming. So let's see who comes in and boosts them back up.
Steven Schumacher, who's managing at Plymouth, and he's doing a fantastic job. Like, they're flying away with the league down there. Like, he's a young, up-and-coming manager, progressive, plays good football, and he's doing a fantastic job. Now, obviously, maybe the job's a bit too big for him at the moment, but,
why?
Well, no, I'm just saying maybe. Look, but, he's got the Everton connection. He's in a job. He's currently experienced. He's managing really well. So he's a possibility, but this is the thing is like, are Everton just going to go down the same old tired route of appointing somebody? What?
There's comments. Carry on. I'm just dropping a comment. I'm trying to keep them going because they don't like it if we don't engage.
Rather have Michael Schumacher. Well, that just proves that you've no idea who Steven Schumacher is then, mate, because, if that's your answer to the question, you've got no idea who the lad is. Go and search Plymouth Argyle.
It's a good one, though, isn't it?
The record.
Jeff, you've got to
look at the record.
Oh,
no, I know, yeah, but it's one of those where
Jeff's bit on the Michael Schumacher one. I don't know who we're going to get. I haven't got a preference either. I just want a new manager that's going to come in. I can't wait for someone new to come in. I was sick and tired of seeing Lampard do the same thing, and I can't wait for someone to come in.
Can I be honest now? It's
rushing it up.
Can I be honest? Because I can say this now. I stopped watching Frank Lampard's press conferences.
It bored me.
Oh yeah.
About 6 weeks ago, and I do apologise. This was when I was on the pre-match. I was always asking the question to someone else about the conference because I thought I can't watch the guy anymore. I can't sit through him. He's making me ill with some of the stuff he repeats week in, week out. And he looked so depressed. He was just a miserable bastard. And you're just thinking, go and resign. Go and stick yourself out of your misery because you're going to end up making a fool of yourself here.
Nice one, Mr. Toffees.
No, he was in too deep, and he was saying the same thing, and was seeing the same thing in the games. he ain't experienced enough for the job for me. And it was like watching someone drown, but he wasn't getting out of the water. Do you know what I mean? All the time, he was in too deep. And I'm happy he's gone now.
It was like watching like a Tory press conference. Like that's what it was like watching him sometimes, because it was like spin, bollocks. Like all sounds good, but he doesn't actually ever say anything. Like he was just, just painful. Nice guy, out of his depth. Couldn't manage a piss up in a brothel. Like, yeah.
I'm torn on. Like, obviously, the situation is like there's two things that you think. You think when you think managers, you think a manager for the future that's going to play nice football. But then you also think of the situation we're in. Would that manager that plays nice football get us out of this relegation battle? So it's two complete different things in your brain, what you've got to contrast. And so part of me is like, I like Bielsa's tactics in football, but then he might not be for this relegation battle and he could just get us completely destroyed. But I do like, I think he's a very clever football man and he likes his tactics and football. And I watched Leeds when there was bad, when they went down. I watched them the season before and they was really good at high pressing and energy.
He would break the players with his fit.
Yeah.
With our fitness regime, he would break our players. They would literally break. Like 3 training sessions with Bielsa, and our players would all be broken because they're a bunch of fragile fucks. And like they would literally just, like if they were trying to do the Leeds fitness regime and run and do that kind of level of fitness that Leeds do, because that's the reason why Leeds struggled under Bielsa. Is like they were brilliant at the start of the year, but they just blew out like towards the end of the year, and like because of the fitness was just so on it all the time. He would break our players because they're all a bunch of fan cheaters. Like
I think Bamford missing as well when he got injured. I think that was a big downer for Leeds as well. They relied a lot on him. Not saying we've got an amazing striker. Well, to be fair, we have got the news, haven't we? That Dan Juma, that we already said he signed, but it's been double confirmed today. Dan Juma is done, so that's a positive.
Help us stay up by all means.
So it's another attacking player for whatever manager comes in. Some manager might fancy this job.
He does score goals. Like he isn't going to make us worse. That's for a fact. He is definitely going to improve us.
It's a bit naughty.
It's not hard. That's a low bar, isn't it?
He's a player that we should have got in August, to be honest. But I guess we are where we are now, innit? I just need to get a manager in the next 2 days. The next 2 days need to be. Can't have this recruitment process where they've fucking see Mashiri, fucking see Ken Shite, fucking see then Mashiri again, and it's just like, you know what? Done.
I agree with you there. I agree with you. I don't want to.
Embarrassment.
I don't want to see. On what you just said there, Mamsie, I don't want to see the spotlight on Ken Wright and Mashiri picking a manager that long. I just want it to be done ASAP because I can't stand them. And I think whoever they're going to pick, just pick them quick and let us deal with the manager, not the fucking board and the owner, because the board and the owner, you're gone at the end of the season. Do you know what I mean? They're gone at the end of the season. So just pick the manager. We don't really want you to pick him, but that's the way it's got to be. So we'll accept that you've got to pick him. Hopefully it's farewell instead. Pick the manager, and then we'll deal with the manager. And that's where we want it. I can't be asked with a board or anything like that. Them coming out and acting like they've got big decisions in the club, because they don't have the right for any decision in the club for me at the minute. But it is what it is.
Okay, so just something more positive on Denjuma. He was in the Champions League this season, I believe, for Villarreal. And he looks like a Richarlison style winger, comes back across the front, quite strong, scores goals, assists. I think we could have a good player on his hand. He seemed determined to come for Everton. He turned down other
offers. The reason he gave as well. Like the reason he gave was absolutely amazing. It was like he literally said he turned down clubs that were in the Champions League in other countries and whatever, because he wanted the challenge. Like he literally loved the idea of coming to a club like Everton that are struggling and rescuing them. So it's like, fair dues.
And let's be honest,
and become a hero.
He just thought after West Ham, he could have thought, nah, fuck this, I'll go somewhere easy.
He's a Wobie's mate, isn't he? He's a
Wobie's
mate.
Yeah. I see someone comment on our last stream, Ryan. Go on, sorry.
He's Nigerian born.
Yeah, he is.
Yes, he is.
I see someone comment on last stream about his injuries. His injury record is really, really bad. But I presume we've looked into that, and we don't know what the situation is. But our medical team surely should be assessing that.
Well, we've had the
one good thing is he's not a permanent, and there's no obligation to buy him. So it's literally just a loan. It's a straight loan. So
yeah.
Like if he does get injured, we're not going to lose too much. No, I don't want him to get injured. Obviously I want him to play every game. At least we're not signing someone who's injury prone on a 3-year deal with on like freaking $5 million a year or something. It's literally just a straight loan, and if he saves us, he does, and if he doesn't, he goes back, and it's fine. So that's a good thing as well.
Bang on, go on, Ryan.
We've had a little look at your injury records, Denjuma. Just looking through, I can see you've been missing for 60% of all the games over the past 2 years. Just chuck that in the
to be fair, though, I think when players get injured, I'll put a positive thing on this. When players get injured, obviously someone goes ahead of them and takes their position, and I think he's just been pushed out because of injury and struggled to get back in. So it might be the fact that he's ready now and he's fit, and we're the team that's going to get him. So
it's Yerry Mina and Calvert-Lewin part 2. We're signing a sick note, and the fans will be on his back within 5 minutes.
Don't say that.
You can read
it. This is the exciting thing, though, Ryan. This is the exciting thing. Like the manager. We don't know who's going to play, but like the manager that comes in changes the team every time you change the manager. So everything's going to change. I don't think we're going to see the same frigging shitty stuff that we've seen. Hopefully a manager comes in and mixes it up.
Hopefully, just very quickly here, the Vinagre loan is just another nail in the coffin for Thelwell for me as to why his recruitment was poor in the summer. Signing him to play 3-5-2 system, and he's played like 2 games, and he was never really good enough. Why we bothered bringing him in. Any thoughts on Lampard then? Just really for each of you, give me a summary and assessment on Lampard. Then we'll have a look at who you want for a new manager. Oh, looks like Jeff's dropped out the stream. Hopefully he'll come back in before we go. So my final thoughts on him was he's a nice. I wasn't enamoured by him. I didn't think he had much experience. I obviously remember him well from scoring the winning goal against us in the FA Cup final in 2009. So, I wasn't particularly impressed that we brought him in. I thought he was a manager we brought based on his brand rather than his experience, because he didn't have a good life at Chelsea or at Derby. To be honest with you, at Derby, he overspent a lot of money and didn't get promotion. I think he spent more than other teams, and Derby got in a right mess because of it. At Everton, I think the fans really kept him up more than Lampard, and key individuals, Richarlison, obviously, who's a top footballer. And the fans obviously rallied together because I think they wanted to save our club. But I think this season, the fans' patience has gone. We haven't got energy for it. We haven't got the same appetite to do that, I think, because we're so drained, we're so exhausted. And then ultimately, he's tried to evolve the style of play away from what actually kept us up, which wasn't anything to write home about. And he brought in players, Connor Cody. I think he started well, but his form's fallen off a cliff. Tarkowski, another from a relegated team. And then he's got an aging fullback and a very experienced fullback in Coleman and Patterson. But then Michaelenko, who's a complete yard dog at left back. And, the defence is a championship defence that's conceding a lot of goals. He was relegated, Tarkowski. Cody was wanted, Wolves saw through him. And Michaelenko, I don't understand that one. And then you brought in midfielders, Onana, who's had one or two good games all season. One or two good games all season. Gay has just been really bad. Mopé is bad. And so individual performances haven't been good. The signings haven't really worked out as we'd have thought. And the style of play never reached what we thought it would be. I would have midfielders running from deep, getting onto the end of crosses, late, Lampard style. I thought we'd have overloads on the wings and then try and get the ball into the box and have people getting on the end of it and getting men in the box, suffocating football. I thought we'd play with a real target man and have people in and around him all linking up and flick-ons and all sorts of clever football. I thought we'd play speed with intensity, with aggression. I thought we'd press offensively. I thought we'd have a bit of everything really that you want to see from Everton. Fast, aggressive, direct football with wingers, good at set pieces, target man. And what we see is sideways, backwards football, lacking intensity, lacking purpose, people isolated, changing formations week in, week out, results poor, conceding 20 chances a game, never looked like scoring. It's Sam Allardyce-esque without the Sam Allardyce defensiveness. And I think ultimately he completely deserves to be sacked. And I think what I've given you is a very accurate and fair assessment. But I'm going to now get everyone on the channel to give your final thoughts on Lampard. Dan, would you like to go first?
Yeah, I think he struggled with some of the players. He tried to do certain things, and some of the players wasn't good enough for what he wanted to do. He did try, but he ain't got the experience. If what he wants in his head, he can't do. He hasn't got a plan B, and I think that's the main thing you will say about him, Ryan. Is that he didn't have a plan B. He could make a plan, but he didn't have a plan B.
Tell us what did he want to do in his head?
He tried to get us playing attack. That Crystal Palace game that we played was exactly how Lampard wanted to play football, but unfortunately, you can't always play like that. The Premier League's intense, and he didn't have any. He tried to play that way all the time, but a lot of teams won't let you play like that. That Crystal Palace game was the way he wanted to play. The players pass it around nice, and it worked that game, that one game. That's it. But then it worked one game, so he's got to have a backup plan. That's it.
Would you say that teams allowed us to have the ball, allowed us to pass it around, waited for us to make mistakes in games, wait for us to lose the ball? A bit like, teams last season did with Michael Keane when they let him bring the ball out from the back only to lose it and then counter. Do you think that's what teams did to us? Let us have the ball
100%.
And then punish mistakes because they know we've got nothing about us.
100%. The thing is, sometimes you've got to look at your players and play to their strengths, and sometimes Lampard played these players to not the strengths. And like you say, if Lampard put our team with possession, this is not a good possession team. I don't think that's a good tactic because, like you just said, the other team just wait for us to make a mistake because it's not the style we can play. So I think it just bit us in the arse.
Yeah. Mabs?
I think, I'd like to thank him for keeping us up last season. Giving us some hope throughout the summer and that Crystal Palace game. But I again, the beginning of the season started off good. I thought he showed up the defence. We were looking like that, but then it just went to shit. You know what I mean? It just went, and then you're like, well, he doesn't know what his starting 11 was, didn't know what the formation was, constantly changing, and not given the likes of Sims or I don't get why recall him from Rome while he was fucking loving it. Is it Sims he got recalled? Was it?
Yeah,
it wasn't it? Yeah, recall Sims from Sunderland, right? And then don't play him. You had you've got that. What's his name from the? Oh God, I forgot his name.
Taylor Onyango.
Yeah, you got Cannon going out at the beginning of January again. Why would we even let that happen until you've got at least about replacement? We've got no one. We'll let Cannon go out. Give him a go. You can do no worse, surely. Didn't let the play the kids when the seniors were woeful, and And again, there's just the formation, and he didn't know what he was doing. So, yeah.
Matt, at what point did you lose patience with him?
I kind of think the Bournemouth was losing twice to Bournemouth was off of his head should have been.
Because we lost
the opportunity, right? You've got 6 weeks, get a new guy in. You can take your time a bit. The transfer window's shut. You've got 6 weeks to go out and find your man. Then you've got some time then to work on the training pitch, like a pre-season in effect, right? You haven't got all the squad, but you've got most of the squad. And it just now to sack him, he had to go. Don't get me wrong, but 7 days. We've got 7 days left, right? In that 7 days, we've got to find someone, appoint someone. They've got to know what they need, get them in, do the work. Back to square one.
Yeah, it's the carbon copy of last season, isn't it? Where the manager's not the one bringing the players in; it's the director of football and the ownership and the board and agents, and not the manager because we haven't got a manager. The whole thing stinks. How you can keep making the same mistakes and expecting change, is beyond me. Jeff, have you got anything to add on Lampard? I know your thoughts are well documented. You did give him time, but over these past 8 weeks since the World Cup, you've well and truly had.
My original opinion has just been reinforced. I never wanted him in the first place, but I backed him, and I liked the guy. So I've always backed him. Like I said, I always back every Everton manager, even if I don't like them. But I really did like him. No, I really liked him because he got the club, he got the fans, he was a nice guy, and I wanted it to work, and we survived by the skin of our teeth last season, and I don't think he had anything to do with it. I really don't. If we're all being honest, we were 2-0 down at half-time and getting played off the park, and we had an inspirational 45 minutes, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin remembered how to be a centre forward for a couple of minutes. Otherwise, we were relegated. That's how bad we were. And then it was right, okay. Because he was making mistake after mistake when he first arrived, and then he finally figured it out after getting absolutely snotted by Tottenham Hotspur that we can't actually play football. Let's just do the pragmatic thing and get across the line. And we did that. Fine, okay. So in the summer, right, this is your time to implement your plan. Go out and do what you do. Make smart decisions. Fix certain issues. Brilliant. We didn't do that. And then the thing is, it's he again went away from the plan. It was he brought in 2 groggy centre-backs. Not particularly great. Groggy centre-backs. Basically, brought in 2 midfielders who are rough and tumble, but not creative in any way. So if you're bringing in players that are for a team that's going to sit back, defend, and try and play counter or long ball or something like that, you brought in the players for that purpose. But then you don't play that way. You try and play out from the back, and you just keep losing the ball because the players that you've brought in, those back 4 players, the players he brought in, they can't play football. So you brought in players to play a certain style of play, and then you don't play it. You try and play through the lines like we're Man City. We're not Man City. So he just didn't know what he was doing. I don't think he had a clue what a plan was. And even the players, you could tell that the players were starting to see their arse about it because it was he didn't know what system he was going to play from week to week, from game to game. He would literally play the rock. If you gave him a choice of this is the opponent, you can play this way, or this way. One of them's okay, one of them's really good, and one of them is truly dreadful. He will pick the one that's dreadful. He would always pick the wrong formation for the wrong game, except for I think we basically had about 5 or 6 good games under his management in total. 5 or 6 good games in total in a year. That's pathetic. That's pathetic.
Right,
it's just the honest truth.
Just letting you know early, Ryan, I'm going to be off in 2 seconds because my laptop charger is broke, and you can't charge your laptop with your phone charger, so I'm on 1%. But I'm just letting you know if I go, that's the reason.
Okay.
I will get one. No, we'll get one. Well, yeah, that's normally me, isn't it? You know what I mean? That's normally the case. But no, we'll go off in a second.
Then we're going to do a space tonight at 7:30 over on Twitter. So if you've got nothing better to do, you can come over there. I'm going to be hosting a phone-in at 7:30. And no, I don't give a shit whether there's any other spaces going on, Dan. I'm doing one.
No, go for it.
Phone-in style. And I'd like some of you guys, if you're in the comments, please come and have a chat with me on Twitter Spaces for around an hour and a half at 7:30. We say that, and I'll still be bloody talking to you all at 11 o'clock, as you do. Looks like we lost Jeff again.
Oh, Jeff was the one, the one, not Dan.
Beat me to it.
I'll take a quick chat with Mabsy about managerial appointments.
Yeah, can do, yeah.
Go on, Dan.
What's that?
Oh,
Jeff will be back. I'm gone.
There's Jeff.
Hey, you're all right.
We're just going to finish off because we're doing
That's all right.
30. I just want to know if you've got any questions on managerial appointments.
What? Who do I think we should appoint? Oh God. Realistically, in the situation we're in, we don't have time for a project, so we need a firefighter. Literally, Fireman Sam. Like
Sam Allardyce.
Yeah.
No.
Listen, like I wouldn't choose him, Sam Allardyce or Sean Dyche or someone like that. Like if you're looking at a short term and we have to stay in the Premier League because we can't afford to get relegated, then you pick the manager appropriate.
I agree. I think Sean Dyche until the end of the season and then see where we are.
But why would he come in until the end of the season? He's not going to want to do that.
Why not? Though he's employed. You know, he'll get paid quite well for it.
Because what's that saying about him as a manager? That like, we trust him so much that we're only going to give him a 5-month contract and then we're going to replace him because we don't actually like his football.
We're not saying we're going to replace him. At the end of the day, that's see where we are.
He was a victim of his own success. By keeping us up, he had to do it a certain way. And then, you know, he wasn't given the opportunity to because he had to play the players. And
yeah, but that's my point is like from his point, you've got to look at it from his point of view, is he wasn't going to want to come in on a 6-month contract and say, well, if you keep us up, you might keep your job. But realistically, we like it's like saying like, oh yeah, 5 to 2 in the nightclub, and it's like, oh yeah, you'll do.
The 2 a.m. bird.
Yeah, it's literally the 2 a.m. bird, and it's like he's not your first choice. He's not the one you've been chasing all night, but because you didn't get the one you chased, oh yeah, you'll do, and he owes a goal kind of thing, and it's just like, is that an appeal for him? Is he going to be like happy with that? I don't know.
Is it an appeal for Sam? Because it was an appeal last time. We had to give him 18 months and sack him.
Exactly. So that's the whole point. More financial woes, more financial trouble. So like, if you're gonna replace someone, make it a long-term appointment and make it irrelevant of whether you stay up or go down.
We need a snap decision.
Yeah, but we don't really need a snap decision. We need a decision fairly soon. But like, you can write off the next 2 games. We're not going to win either of them.
No,
right? So
I'm not talking about games. I'm talking about transfer window. I'm talking about the 7 days.
I know, but what I'm saying is we need to get if we get the appointment right, and you have to say to the new manager, look, if we go down, we're going to stick with you, and you're going to get us back up. We want you to keep us in the league, do the best that you can, but we understand the circumstances you're in. But we promise that we're not going to sack you if you go down. We're going to give you the opportunity to rebuild the side and get us back in the division as quick as possible. So therefore, like, you still have to make a proper long-term clever decision. Otherwise, you literally don't get Fireman Sam on a 5-month contract and just say, keep us up and we'll pay you 5 million. We'll pay you 5 million bonus or something.
Yeah, but he's not. We offered that a 5 months last time. We didn't take it. We had to go back and cap in hand, give him an 18-month deal, and then he goes, "I didn't accept it."
That's exactly my point. I know, and that's exactly my point. So that's why I wouldn't do that. That's what I'm saying. Is like Sam or Allardyce is literally that. It's a short-term appointment where you're going to have to throw money at them, offer them a massive bonus if they keep you up, and then you're going to do them off as soon as afterwards because we don't like the way you play football and we don't like your style.
All a mess. I mean, even Lampard was getting and he was lesser wages than other managers and an 18-month deal. You know,
it's got another year left, so it's 2.5 years.
Yeah, exactly. So isn't it better to just say, well, look, let's just bring in someone actually qualified for the long-term appointment, and rather than making a short-term decision because like you're fearing it stuff, make the right decision. Make the right decision, make a proper long-term. Get the guy you want. Not the guy you just like I said. Don't get the 5-2 bed because you just like go for the one you really want.
It just feels like Groundhog Day. It fucking feels like because we were in the same position last year and we're in the same position again, and I just don't know what.
Well, let's just last year. We're not in the same position like last year, the year before, and before that as well. Because this is like what is. So I saw someone said before it was like he will be our 9th or 10th manager in Mashiri's era. Because
would he go out and try and get Moyes back?
No.
I don't know anymore, Jack. I just want the best for the club, and you want the best for the club. We all want the best, and
that's why I look at someone like a Steven Schumacher or the guy from Salzburg, and I just look at it and just think we had the right idea by going for someone like Lampard because we want someone who can build the club. He just wasn't up to the job. That was all. He didn't have the ability, the tactical acumen. But I still think that's the right move to make. If we're going to make that decision, then I want somebody who will come in, not for the short term. I know we're in the short term shit, but I want someone that if we stay in the division, he can do something and build the club up. If we go down, he can be the person who can build a team to get us back in the league quickly. I want somebody who is going to be here for the long term, who's going to make something. And like a fossil dinosaur just coming in and like taking 10, 12 million pounds to just about barely scrape by, and then we end up with no money again for players next season because we've spent all our money on hiring a manager that we don't want.
But
that makes sense.
Who's the answer? No one knows. No one's got the answers. Like I get the nostalgia, but I get it. I mean, I understand what people are saying, and I think I'm just desperate. I'm clutching at the straws, quite literally.
Sorry, I'm just like trying to, because my internet went off, so I'm doing it on my phone now, and it's like I can't read the comments. It's too small.
Is Ryan still here? Or has he just
Sorry?
Has Ryan just got off?
Yeah, I don't know what it is, whether the internet or something like that, but Dan's gone and Ryan's gone, so they're just like, they've literally just left. Nobody's doing the comments, and I can't read them because they're too small.
Popping up.
Yeah, the comments are coming up on my laptop.
He's doing them then. See, Rooney is the one for me. He has. Rooney, I don't know. Is he experienced enough? And I don't.
Yeah, to be fair to Rooney, right? And okay, I'll give this question a fair shake of the whip. Right? People are going to say, "Oh, he's lost every game over in the LA Galaxy or whatever the Washington. I think he's at Washington, isn't he, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
He's smarter than people give him credit for. Like, I know we've all listened to him talk, and he's not the most. He's not Lampard when it comes to like an interview or a conversation. But if you actually hear him talk about football, he's a smart man. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And he might be a good long-term choice. He really might. And he would bring the passion. And maybe alongside like Duncan or something like that, you know, that's an option, you know. Is it a bit nostalgic? Does it really answer a long-term question? I don't know. I really don't know. I think the point is now, and I agree with you, Mabs, is like, I genuinely, like I said, this feels like the desperate 2 o'clock in the morning. We're looking around for anything, you know what I mean? And it's just like, yeah, the flatbed with like, you know, like ginger ale or something. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, like, and he holds a goal at like outside the Grafton. It just feels that way. It's just like.
Have you seen what Steve's put in his chat? Right, yeah. So JJ, his little baby, yeah, is 3. He was born in November 2019. He's 3 years and 45 days. This will be his 7th manager. 7th manager.
I knew it was something ridiculous like that.
Jesus Christ, that's nuts.
It's horrendous, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
It's. The fact is, like I said, it's time for Mashiri to sell the bloody thing. He doesn't know what he's doing. The owner's clueless. Ken Wright, if he'd have sold us, if he'd have got us back, sorted us out, got us back on the up and narrow, yeah, sold Rooney, whatever, and then he'd sold the club lock, stock and barrel to a proper investor who was going to take the club forward, he could walk away with his head held high, but he didn't. He hung on, and he's been part of the problem ever since. So he's bye. See you later. Can't stand the prick. Baxendale, I don't really have a problem with her because she is good at what she does. She's an administrator or whatever. She's not a football person. No, hang on. What I'm going to say is I don't have any problem with her specifically because she does work hard. She does a job and whatever. She's not part of the problem. She ain't part of the solution, but she's not part of the problem. She's
disagree. I think she did well out in the community. I just don't think it was the right appointment at the time. I don't know. That's
what I'm saying is I don't have a problem with her personally like I do with Ken Wright and with Bashiri. Those two are the problem. Like,
mate,
whoever
after the lies that she's sanctioned, after those lies that she is sanctioned,
I don't know whether she's actually part of that because she literally, she's just. I think she's forced into a position that because of who she is and what she's at. But I don't think, like I said, I wouldn't want to go here more than any of the others because it's literally Mashiri and it's literally Ken Wright. They're the two.
The rest. At the end of the day, Mashiri needs to fuck off. Sell the club.
Yes, he does. Yeah, and that's all I want. I live for the day that he just announces that he sold the club to somebody who knows what they're doing.
That board gets sacked instantly. Yeah, goes through right, and they get the football and brains to save this club. Until Mashiri, everyone goes on about Ken Wright resigning. Right, okay, Ken Wright has about 2 or 3% in this club. Right, Mashiri's the big deal because at the end of the day, if he wanted to, he could get rid of the board, pass special resolution, bam, the board's out. Right? He's not done that. Okay. He's keeping them there where they are. They're hanging on, yeah. But he's the one that he's keeping them in their jobs. Well, they're not going to be stupid enough to resign. Why would you? At the end of the day, he has got the football and fucking brain, and this is where we've gone wrong. Mashiri goes, that board goes, and we can start afresh. Until that time, we're treading water and we're going sink. We're actually not even treading water. We're sinking faster than the Titanic.
Yeah, basically that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's a very good place to wrap it up. Anyway.
Yeah, I think so. So, well, my internet's giving me like nightmares. So, yeah, I think that is a really good point to end this chat.
How do we end it? Ryan, are you still there in some like really weird capacity?
Oh, I am still here. Yeah, I'm just like I said. I'm in the call. Oh no, Ryan's gone.
So, no, who's doing the comments though? Ryan's
I don't know.
Yeah. To be in the comments, so someone's got to like, because I don't know how to end this.
Do you not know?
No.
That's how you end it. No. I think maybe Ryan's in the background somewhere, just like operating it.
Just like messing with the goalkeeper. I don't know what he's going through the squad for now, for some reason.
I think he's just taking the mick out of you, Mavs.
Yeah, pretty much must be. Right, come on, end it now, Ryan. I think that's. Oh, fuck off. Ryan's got the job. Ryan's got the job. Basically, Ryan's the new manager, hasn't he? That's where he is. He's like.
It's not the line,
yeah, pretty much. Ryan is the new manager, so Ryan will be giving the press conference very shortly on Twitter at 7:30 tonight. And we may be joined by a few of us. And on that bombshell.
Yeah, on that bombshell. Catch us all next time.
Yeah.